Welcome back to Bookkast, Bestsellers in Minutes. We're diving deep into Colleen Hoover's Verity today.
Oh, yeah.
So if you haven't read it yet, maybe go check it out and then come back to this deep dive because there will be spoilers.
Definitely lots of spoilers.
So it's a psychological thriller, lots of twists and turns.
Yeah, really keeps you guessing the whole way through.
It does. It really does. And we're going to try to unpack all of that today. So just a warning for everybody out there. Okay, so the story starts with Lowen. She's a struggling writer in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And right away, we get this sense of anonymity in the city, like even death is just brushed aside. It's almost an inconvenience in that opening scene.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It's like Hoover really captures that feeling of being just one face in the crowd, even in the midst of something as tragic as a fatal accident.
And it's especially striking because Lowen herself is desperately seeking invisibility at this point. She's dealing with the recent loss of her mother. She's moved to New York for a fresh start, trying to escape her past.
It's like she's both drawn to and repelled by the anonymity of the city. On the one hand, it offers her a chance to disappear, to blend in, and avoid attention. On the other hand, it can be isolating and even dehumanizing.
Exactly. And then she meets Jeremy, the husband of the victim in the accident.
Right.
And there's this instant connection.
Yeah, it's almost eerie, given the circumstances. It's not your typical meet cute.
Definitely not. It's more like a meet weird.
Yeah, a meet weird for sure.
But it's this encounter that throws Lowen into a world she was trying to avoid, the world of fame, fortune, and as we soon discover, lots of dark secret.
Right, like she's suddenly thrust into the spotlight and surrounded by people who are living these very public lives.
And it all starts with this offer to co-author Verity Crawford's best-selling series. Verity is Jeremy's wife, who is now incapacitated after this horrific accident.
Mm-hmm.
So on the one hand, it's a dream opportunity for Lowen, fame, fortune, the works. But on the other hand, it feels so morally wrong.
I can see that. It's like she's stepping into the shoes of someone who's still alive, even if she's not fully present.
Right, and there's this added layer of complexity with Jeremy grieving the loss of his twin daughters. His vulnerability definitely adds another dimension to his relationship with Lowen.
Yeah, it's hard to know what to make of their connection. Is it genuine attraction, or is it fueled by their shared grief and the unusual circumstances?
And speaking of unusual, let's talk about the Crawford house.
Oh, yeah, that house.
It's creepy. It's like something out of a Gothic novel. From the spiderweb design on the gate to the ivy that seems to be consuming the house, it all feels symbolic of something sinister lurking beneath the surface.
It's like the house itself is a character reflecting the secrets and darkness that are about to be revealed.
And then there's Crew Verity and Jeremy's son.
Right.
That kid's comments, especially the one about the house, used to be nice. They're just so chilling. There's this maturity and awareness in his words that's both intriguing and unsettling.
Yeah, it's like he's seen and heard things that no child should ever have to experience.
And then Lowen finds Verity's hidden autobiography.
Oh, man, that's where things get really crazy.
It paints a completely different picture of Verity and Jeremy's relationship than what Jeremy has presented.
Right, like Verity's account is so raw and disturbing. It's full of dark secrets and shocking revelations.
Yeah, she describes the calculated seduction, Jeremy's obsession with her, and even hints at something much darker lurking beneath the surface.
It makes you question everything you thought you knew about Verity and her relationship with Jeremy.
And about Jeremy himself. Like, is he the grieving husband he appears to be? Or is he hiding something?
That's the thing with Hoover's writing. She introduces this concept of the unreliable narrator, and suddenly you're not sure who to believe.
Exactly. Like, is Verity telling the truth, or is she mentally unstable? Is she deliberately trying to manipulate the reader, even from her incapacitated state?
It's like she's playing mind games, even with us, the readers.
And then there's the incident where Lowen thinks Verity is watching her from the window.
Oh, yeah, that scene is so creepy.
It is. It blurs the lines between reality and Lowen's imagination. You're not sure if she's actually seeing Verity or if it's just her paranoia.
Right? It's like Hoover masterfully uses these strange occurrences to heighten the suspense and make us question what's really going on.
And then there's that missing knife from Verity's room, the one Crew's playing with.
Yeah, it's like each new discovery adds to the mounting evidence that Verity is not who she seems and potentially dangerous.
Exactly. Like, what if she hurt her own child?
And then comes the bombshell, the chapter in Verity's autobiography where she admits to harming her daughter. It's raw chilling and makes you question everything about her.
It does. Is she a monster, or is there more to the story than we know?
It's one of those moments where you have to put the book down and just process what you've read.
I agree. Meanwhile, Jeremy's attraction to Lowen is growing despite his marriage and Verity's condition.
It creates this messy love triangle full of ethical dilemmas and unspoken tension.
It does. It's clear Lowen is drawn to him, but she's also increasingly aware of the risks involved.
And then tragedy strikes again. Crew and Harper fall into the lake and Harper drowns.
It's just heartbreaking. And the conflicting accounts of what happened and the accusations aimed at Verity just add to the mounting tension.
It's like everyone is a suspect at this point.
And the aftermath is just as intense. Jeremy's in denial, Lowen's terrified.
And Verity, well, she's a master manipulator.
She is. She seems to be playing everyone using their grief and guilt to her advantage.
It's like she's always one step ahead.
And then things get really heated between Lowen and Jeremy, especially after she finds more of Verity's manuscript.
Oh yeah, there's suspicion, attraction, distrust. It's like they're dancing on a razor's edge.
And then we reach the climax, a confrontation between Lowen and Verity that ends in Verity's death.
Wow.
It's chaotic, full of struggle accusations, and Jeremy's actions in the end leave us wondering who's truly responsible.
It's definitely a scene that leaves you breathless. But then just when you think it can't get any crazier, we get that letter from Verity to Jeremy.
Oh my gosh, yes. The letter.
They're just everything.
It does. It reveals the truth about Harper's death and Verity's whole twisted plan.
I mean, talk about a plot twist.
Right. It makes you question everything you thought you knew about Verity. Was she a victim? Or was she a mastermind? Was she really ill? Or just incredibly manipulative?
It's brilliant how Hoover keeps us guessing until the very end. And even then, we're left with so many questions.
I know. It's like the rug has been pulled out from under you, the reader and Lowen, too.
Exactly. And that's what makes this book so thought-provoking. It's not just about the thrills and chills. It's about the psychological complexities of the characters and the moral ambiguities of their actions.
It makes you think about the nature of truth and how easily it can be distorted, especially in situations where there are power imbalances and hidden agendas.
Speaking of unreliable narrators.
Oh yeah, let's talk about the characters a bit more.
Okay.
Lowen is such a compelling protagonist. I found myself really rooting for her, even when she made questionable choices.
I agree. She's vulnerable and flawed, but she's also capable of great empathy and compassion.
And Jeremy is so complex, too. You're never quite sure what his true motives are.
Right. Is he a good guy caught in a bad situation? Or is he hiding something much darker?
Hoover does a great job of keeping us guessing.
She really does. And then there's Verity, the enigmatic, manipulative, and ultimately dangerous force at the center of the story.
It's amazing how Hoover can create a character who is both repulsive and captivating.
I know, you hate her for her actions, but you're also drawn to her intelligence and her undeniable talent as a writer.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and talk about Hoover's writing style.
Sounds good.
Her prose is so sharp and engaging, it keeps you hooked from the first page.
I agree, and her dialogue feels so authentic and relatable.
And the pacing is brilliant, too. She knows how to build tension, create cliffhangers, and keep you on the edge of your seat.
It's like you're on a runaway train hurtling towards a destination you can't quite see, but you know it's going to be a wild ride.
Now, for our listeners who are new to Colleen Hoover's work, she's a New York Times bestselling author who has captivated millions of readers with her unique blend of romance, suspense, and emotional depth.
Her books have been translated into over 40 languages, and she has a massive and dedicated fan base.
So she's definitely a force to be reckoned with in the literary world.
She is, and she shows no signs of slowing down.
Okay, so Verity has received a lot of critical acclaim.
Yes, it has. Critics have praised its originality, suspenseful plot, and thought-provoking exploration of complex themes.
But like any good piece of literature, it's also sparked some controversy.
Right. Some critics have questioned the plausibility of certain plot points and the morality of some of the characters' actions.
But that's part of what makes it such a fascinating read. It sparks conversation, challenges our assumptions, and leaves us pondering the complexities of human nature.
Exactly. It's a book that stays with you long after you've finished it.
Now, I want to address something that might be on some listeners' minds. Verity deals with some pretty heavy themes: death, manipulation, violence, and the darker side of relationships.
Yeah, it's not a light read, and it can definitely be triggering for some readers.
So it's important to be aware of that before diving in.
Definitely.
Okay, so how does Verity connect to Colleen Hoover's other work?
Well, it's a bit of a departure from her earlier novels, which often focused on romance and contemporary issues.
Right, but it still retains that emotional depth and character-driven focus that have become hallmarks of her writing.
Exactly. It's just that in Verity, she takes those elements and blends them with psychological suspense to create something truly unique and unforgettable.
So what makes Verity stand out as a thriller?
Well, it's not just the twists and turns that keep you hooked. It's the exploration of human psychology, the unreliable narrators, and the lingering questions that stay with you long after you've finished reading.
Right, it's a thriller that gets under your skin, makes you think, and stays with you long after you've turned the last page.
It's a testament to Hoover's skill as a writer that she can create a story that is both entertaining and thought-provoking, leaving readers with a lingering sense of unease and a desire to unravel the truth.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the literary techniques that Hoover uses to create such a compelling narrative. First and foremost, her use of multiple perspectives. We get glimpses into the minds of Lowen, Verity, and even Jeremy through letters and journal entries.
Right. It's a great way to add layers of complexity and keep the reader guessing.
It really does, and it also raises questions about the reliability of each narrator.
Exactly.
Another technique Hoover uses effectively is the slow burn. She takes her time building tension, gradually revealing the character's secrets and motivations.
It's like she's simmering the suspense until it reaches a boiling point.
And then, of course, there are the plot twists.
Oh yeah, Hoover is a master of plot twists.
She is. They're carefully crafted moments that propel the story forward, challenge our perceptions, and keep us on the edge of our seats.
They really make the reading experience both thrilling and intellectually stimulating.
Now let's talk about the setting.
Okay.
The isolated, almost claustrophobic atmosphere of the Crawford house is so effectively used.
It really is. It's like the house itself is a character.
It's a place where the lines between reality and imagination blur, and where the characters are forced to confront their own inner demons.
The way Hoover describes the house with its spiderweb gate, creeping ivy, and unsettling stillness, it just creates this sense of foreboding and unease that lingers throughout the story.
Okay, so let's discuss the relationship between Lowen and Jeremy.
You're right.
It's complex and morally ambiguous, full of attraction, distrust, and ultimately a shared secret that binds them together.
Their connection is undeniable, but it's also built on a foundation of lies and manipulation.
It makes you question the nature of love, the boundaries we cross, and the compromises we make in the pursuit of happiness.
It's a relationship that defies easy categorization, leaving the reader to grapple with the moral implications of their choices.
Now let's talk about some of the broader themes that Verity explores.
Okay?
One of the most prominent themes is the power of words.
Right. Verity is a writer who uses her words as weapons, crafting narrative that manipulate, deceive, and ultimately destroy.
It's both fascinating and terrifying to see how she uses language to her advantage.
It really is. It makes you think about the responsibility we have for our words and the potential for language to be used for both good and evil.
Another theme that resonates throughout the story is the struggle for control.
Yes, Verity seeks to control her own narrative, her husband, and even her children.
And Lowen is also grappling with her own insecurities and her desire for success.
It's a story that explores the lengths we'll go to assert control over our own lives, even if it means compromising our morals.
Now let's talk about the impact of trauma on the characters.
Okay.
Each character in Verity is dealing with their own past traumas, which shape their actions and their relationships.
Right. Jeremy is haunted by the loss of his daughters. Verity is struggling with the physical and emotional scars of her accident.
And Lowen is carrying the weight of her difficult childhood.
Hooper does a great job of showing how trauma can manifest in unexpected ways and influence our decisions.
It adds a lot of depth and complexity to the characters.
It does.
Okay, so for our listeners who are fans of the thriller genre, what makes Verity stand out?
Well, it's the exploration of the psychological complexities of its characters, the unreliable narrators, and the constant sense of unease that permeates the story.
It's not just about the twists and turns, it's about the exploration of human nature, the darker side of ambition, and the lengths we'll go to protect our secrets.
It's a book that will stay with you long after you've finished it.
Okay, so how does Verity fit into the broader context of psychological thrillers?
Well, it shares similarities with other popular novels in the genre like Gone Girl and The Silent Patient.
But it also stands out for its unique focus on the world of writing and publishing.
Right. It's a thriller that speaks to the power of words and the potential for manipulation within the creative process.
So for our listeners who are interested in exploring similar themes, we have a few recommendations.
Okay.
If you enjoyed the unreliable narrator aspect of Verity, we highly recommend The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins.
And if you're looking for another suspenseful read that explores the dark side of ambition, The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn is a must-read.
Okay, so let's talk about the legacy of Verity.
All right.
This book has become a cultural phenomenon, sparking countless discussions and debates.
It's a book that has captivated readers worldwide, prompting them to question everything they thought they knew about trust, betrayal, and the nature of truth.
And it's also been adapted into a television series.
Yes, which has introduced the story to an even wider audience.
So Verity has definitely left an indelible mark on the literary landscape.
It has.
Now let's address some of the criticisms that Verity has faced.
Okay.
Some critics have argued that the plot relies too heavily on coincidence and that certain characters' actions are implausible.
Right, and others have criticized the book for its graphic content.
But ultimately, Verity is a book that elicits strong reactions from readers, sparking passionate discussions and debates.
It's a book that challenges our assumptions, pushes us outside our comfort zones, and leaves us pondering the complexities of human nature.
And isn't that the mark of a truly great book?
I think so.
To provoke thought, to spark conversation, and to leave a lasting impression on its readers.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's take a moment to appreciate Colleen Hoover's contribution to the literary world.
Yes, she's an author who has consistently delivered compelling stories that resonate with readers.
Her ability to blend romance, suspense, and psychological intrigue is truly remarkable.
It is, and her writing is so accessible and emotionally engaging.
So she's definitely an author worth celebrating.
She is.
Okay, so let's shift our focus to the reader experience. What makes Verity such a captivating and unsettling read?
Well, it's the combination of suspense, psychological intrigue, and morally ambiguous characters.
Right, it keeps you guessing from beginning to end.
We're constantly questioning our perceptions and trying to piece together the truth.
It's both exhilarating and unsettling.
It is, and it's a testament to Hoover's skill as a writer that she can create such a believable and terrifying world.
Now, for our listeners who are new to Colleen Hoover's work, we want to emphasize that Verity is just one facet of her diverse and compelling body of work.
Right. She's an author who has explored a wide range of genres and themes.
So we encourage you to check out her other books and discover the depth and breadth of her storytelling talent.
You won't be disappointed. Oh, absolutely. It's amazing how she can write these really intense thrillers, but also these heartwarming romances.
Right, like she really does have a book for everyone.
She does. If you're looking for something completely different from the Verity, I highly recommend It Ends With Us. It's a powerful story about love and loss, and it will definitely stay with you.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into Verity, let's think about the whole Bookkast. Bestsellers in Minutes idea. Do you think we did it justice?
I think so. We managed to cover all the major plot points, the character development, the psychological suspense, and even some of the broader themes without getting too bogged down in the details.
Right, we just hit the highlights and kept it moving.
Exactly. So hopefully our listeners feel like they got a good taste of the book without having to spend hours reading it.
Exactly, and that's the whole point of Bookkast, to give you a quick and insightful overview of the bestsellers everyone's talking about.
So if you're looking for a way to stay up to date on the latest literary trends, but you don't have a lot of time to read, this is the podcast for you.
We do the hard work of reading and analyzing, so you could just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride.
And hopefully discover some new books to add to your reading list.
All right, so until next time, happy reading, everyone. And remember, there's always a new bestseller waiting to be explored on Bookkast. Bestsellers in Minutes.